Okay, so thanks for joining us for this is the 10th San Francisco Center for the Book Shelter and Studio. These started in May as a way to keep the community together, keep people in touch, and started with instructors and staff, and now we're expanding to friends. My name is Sarah Songer. I'm the new program and studio manager at the center, and I also worked at Arion Press for quite a number of years, so some of you I know from both of these wonderful establishments that I'm affiliated with. So it's nice to see all of these familiar names. Today's the second of 3 tours with Arion Press. A couple weeks ago we had Brian Ferret and M&H Type, and today we'll be talking with Blake Riley here in the foreground and Jeff Raymond in the Arion Press room. Take it away, Blake.
Right. We are probably just going to get right to it because there's a lot to cover. But I first wanted to thank Chad and Jenny for inaugurating the program and bringing the community together when we'd otherwise be divided, and Sarah for inviting us to participate. Also a special shout out if there are any subscribers to the press that are watching today. We just want to thank you for your participation and remind you that your subscriptions are really the lifeblood of what makes the organization run. If you're not a subscriber and you're interested, just check out on the website. There's information on how to participate in that program. Let's see. So give you the 60-second kind of nutshell history, picking up where Brian left off. For those of you who watched this program, he talked a little bit about M&H getting its start in 1915, like the Pan Pacific International Expo, just on the other side of the Presidio, really. And it was just a few years after that that Edwin and Robert Grabhorn came to San Francisco from Indiana and set up shop and established the Grabhorn Press. They were legendary, or are legendary, and we continue to work in the legacy that they established now, 100 years ago. Over the course of their 40-plus year career, they printed over 650 books, primarily all set by hand, with hand-set type, which is kind of a phenomenal achievement that keeps us chasing here, kind of in a daily way. They continued to print through the 60s. When Edwin passed away, Robert entered into a partnership with Andrew Poyam. They had a concern for a number of years, and then the Arion imprint was established in 1974. From that point forward, the press has published 100 and I think we are on book 118 now. We're currently in production on an edition of John Steinbeck and Ed Brickett's Sea of Cortez. And that will be printed on the Miller press that you see behind me. This is the largest press that's in the shop. We're not going to have it running today because it makes a lot of racket. But it's a Miller TW cylinder press. It's got 2 cylinders, so we can run 2 colors simultaneously in it. But we'll walk you through the shop and try to recreate what would happen until we actually got on press with the job. One other thing I wanted to mention is that tomorrow night in the gallery upstairs will be the virtual opening of the Hand Bookbinders of California members exhibition. We're super excited to host that, and it's a stunning show with a lot of fantastic artwork. A link to register for that program is on the events page of the Arion website, and I believe there are a few slots that are available. So check that out. That's sponsored by the Grabhorn Institute, which is a nonprofit organization that is the umbrella group for both the M&H Type Foundry and Arion Press. So in addition to sponsoring the gallery exhibits and other public programs, they also sponsor the apprenticeship program. So at this point, everybody who's working in production at the press, the 6 of us between the foundry and the press room and the bindery, have all come up through that apprenticeship program and benefited from it. And that's what allowed us to carry on the craft and the legacy that the Grabhorns began years ago. So that's a little bit of a kind of an intro for you. I'm going to ask Sarah to switch over to the proof press, which Jeff is going to show you. And as you go over, I'm going to put my mask on and take the microphone with. Jeff Raymond is an esteemed member of the staff, and we'll give you, you can get this close up, a wunderkind and indispensable contributor, as well as a true Photoshop master. So it's hard to come by these days.
Thank you, Blake. So this is our most used press in the shop. It's a Vandercook HS27 galley press. It's kind of like a instant Xerox machine for letterpress printing. So for people who haven't seen it, before I turn it on, it's like a big loop. So there's 4 ink rollers on one side and an impression roller on the other side of the chain. They go over the inking thing. We put our galley type that we get from the foundry down here, and we can see instantly what we're dealing with. I'm just going to run it once or twice and then take a proof of what Brian and Chris gave us earlier today. So there's our inking rollers, there's our impression roller. So this is a galley of type from the foundry, Cia Cortez. There's about 2.5 pages of material here. We first take a proof, take a look at it, and then we will start breaking that down into pages. All right. So you probably can't really tell, but you can see the full type there. I'm going to take this, go over to the other type stand now, where we would take our printed proof and start making up pages from it. Is the sound okay for you, Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Talk loud.
I will talk loud. So this is the thing that I just printed. If you get this close, you might be able to see. Anyway, so at that point, we take the galley that we got from the foundry. We start breaking it out into pages due to the layout that's been created earlier. This is what Blake made. It's what the book Cia Cortez is going to look like. It's really beautiful. We're using Perpetua 14 points on a large page. I've got a page that's almost fully made up here. And the last 2 lines of it are the beginning of a new chapter head that's got a drop cap. So we've got a 2-line sandwich, basically, that we've created, where we shorten the second line so that this drop cap could fit in. Take that out of the stick. We would then tie the page up, which I will do as quickly as I can. Now, when I've done this on tours, particularly, we had a group of like grade school kids all crowded around me, and that's the day that I tied the whole page. So to them, I'm nuts, but that's all right.
You're time, Jeff. Don't worry.
So there we go. Take our little tool here, get that through, and we now have page 92 of Cia Cortez that is ready to go. This would then go back over to the stone, which is where we're going to go next. Blake's going to pick up from there. Meanwhile, let's see. I'm not good at snappy patter, so I'm just going to say, here's Blake.
I'm gonna crouch down so people can see. And you know, there were two things that Jeff did that were noteworthy. One of them was, you know, for those of you maybe who are not printers, in addition to the HS27, this is maybe most favorite tool in the shop, this little makeup tool. And it's really like having a sixth finger. And it's used for kind of, you know, all sorts of applications and punching type down. And then as you saw with Jeff, being able to tie the thread into the form. The other thing that you probably didn't notice is that in addition to his many other talents, Jeff is a master page form tire. Nobody can tie a form tighter than he can. And the reason that that is, you know, cherished here is, let's pretend that, you know, that job, you know, has come over to the stone. So this would be the page that, you know, had been prepared, identified by the folio number. And, you know, we'll put this down on the stone when we go to make up the form for printing. And so as we're sliding it on and off the galleys, it's super critical that the string keep all of the lead intact. You know, if it's, when it's loose, the whole form can high on you in the stone, which is, you know, the last thing that you want. This is a page from Sea of Cortez, but the form that we have locked up is left over from the last job, which was Willa Cather's A Lost Lady. But it'll give you a sense of what the 8-page imposition would be for a book on the Miller. You probably notice the Sea of Cortez pages are significantly larger. They'll actually have to print what we call the wrong way, which would be sideways as opposed to this way. So we'll have 4 pages up for that job, and therefore twice as many press runs. So we've got our 8 pages out according to the imposition that we've determined in advance. We know that they're in the right place. And now it's a matter of getting them locked up, which I'm going to kind of fake here a little bit, but just to give you a sense of that process, we kind of tighten it up a little bit. And if we had a plane, we had been actually prepared. We had the plane. We would then plane the whole form. And so on. And you know, that's basically assuring that in the process of shuttling the type around, that we get everything back up standing on its feet. So when we, you know, we go on press, that, you know, we're certain that, you know, none of the type is poking up, or none of the spacing or the leads have risen up in the process. So we'll finish locking this down, kind of rotating around. You know, the 2 most important things that we find in the, you know, working with, well, not just the Miller, but especially, are the proper make ready, and then also a proper lockup. If we don't, if we don't get this absolutely square, or, you know, near 100% square as possible from the beginning, the entire job is, you know, going to go cattywampus. So that's kind of a critical moment. As is this, which is this coin, which is not folding, but let's pretend it does. And let's pretend that there is a, you know, I'm going to assume actually there is plenty of pressure otherwise in this form to keep everything else in place. And if it falls apart, it's okay. We'll lift it up, and then, you know, just make sure that all of this is staying, you know, staying put. Nothing's kind of sinking down. There's kind of a guarantee that it will stay nice and tight and locked up. And then we will scrape the back of the form. Be sure that we get off all of the extra, any dirt that might cause the letters to punch when we go on press. Often in the casting process, there's going to be a beard of lead that's still attached to the type. So we want to kind of make sure that it's clean as possible. And then we'll kind of go through and do essentially the same thing to the face. Taking off with the type wash any extra ink that might have been left over from the earlier proofing stages, but also really scrubbing it to make sure that there, if there are little flanges or additional pieces of lead, that we get them out of the bed of the press, because once they're over there, once they're there, they're there. They're going to get in your ink. They're going to get on your form. So we just try to keep it as clean as possible. So at this point, this form, assuming the coin had stayed in place, would be ready to drop into the press. We're going to skip that, but we did think that we'd show you the second chase. This would be the color form for that same job. You can see here there's just the one plate that's involved, and it's upside down, so maybe I'll just spin it so you're actually able to see. This is an illustration that Miriam Klein-Stahl, the wonderful East Bay artist, educator, illustrator, made for us, a portrait actually of Willa Cather. And this printed on the title page as a second color for that book, but gives you a sense too of kind of a secondary type of lockup and what that would be like. These ones are nice and light, but the big 8-page ones take both of us, or at least 2 people, to drop into the press. So that's that's kind of brings us kind of up to that moment where we load it in, lock it into the bed, take the first proof, give it a read over to make sure that there aren't broken letters or any of those crumbs or other dirt that's printing on the form. What else? Are there any, all kinds of, essentially every problem you can think of, goes wrong. So we just constantly try to whittle them away until we get, as clean as possible, a printed form. We read those not so much, well, kind of for content, I suppose. We do catch typos sometimes on press. Occasionally we'll catch, a missing line even, which is, a little traumatic at that stage. But for the most part, we hope that kind of all of that has been worked out by the time we get to this stage of the process. So there you have it. I don't know, Sarah, if there are questions or how we're doing on time for.
It's very quiet in the question chat, so don't be shy, folks. But maybe in the meantime, you want to talk about the box there?
Sure, yeah. We just happen to have a box here.
What a coincidence. Tell me more.
So this is a prototype for the kind of housing that we have in mind for the deluxe edition of the Sea of Cortez. This is something we're developing with a local artisan, kind of expert woodworker, guy named Jonathan Enzaloni. You might be able to see this kind of extraordinary design that Jonathan's come up with. First of all, I should mention that all of this wood is actually salvaged wood from the Western Flyer boat, which is what makes it kind of particularly special, and also accounts for kind of these naturally distressed marks that you see all over. I call them sea lions, but what they really were hobnail holes of where the planks were attached to the ship.
So this boat has been dredged and is stripped down to the splines and is being completely rebuilt in Port Townsend, Washington. And was supposed to launch as a kind of floating educational marine biological school laboratory this year, which is the 80th anniversary of the trip that Steinbeck and Ricketts and several others took down to the Sea of Cortez. They're a little behind schedule, and actually we're a little behind schedule too, but not as much as they are. So we hope to get this book out this year for the 80th anniversary. And so it's really exciting that, you know, that that it is the boat and the book are kind of reincarnating at the same time. And, you know, one thing that Jonathan has done here is created this design that allows a 360-degree grain of the wood. So this is a continuous grain that goes all the way around. This is oak, and the covers are old growth Douglas fir. We've cut what we're calling a porthole here in the cover, and the point of that is to allow when the book sits underneath. So, you know, this is essentially a kind of a fancy housing. When the book would sit underneath, you would then see the label of the book through the porthole. And so that is you know, kind of one of the kind of exciting collaborations that having you know, a bit of lead time on the project can help us achieve. And you know, we hope to be posting some videos of the progress, both for you know, the building of the box as well as for the printing of the book in the weeks to come. So stay tuned for that.
Blake Randy Ewan, hi Randy, wants to know how you choose which press to use for a book. Is it the decision dependent on the type of paper, size, design, layout, etc.?
Hi Randy. You know, most books use more than one press here. We haven't shown you all around the shop, but there are a couple of Plattons, there are a couple of Vandercooks, and in addition to the Miller, there's one other cylinder press, the Heidelberg, that's back in the corner. That's about half the size of the Miller. The Heidelberg, being a marvel of German engineering, is a press that we rely on when perfect registration is necessary. So a good example of that would be the prints that we made several years ago with Julian Lethbridge for the Joy Graham collection of poems, where there were 3 plates that in order to kind of create the effect really had to have like 100% perfect alignment. And I think the reason that it's so accurate there is that the mechanism on the press pushes the sheet into position as opposed to the Miller, which pulls it. Oftentimes, you know, those decisions though are made also by, you know, the sheet size, what paper is available, what, you know, other kind of design considerations in the book. Generally though, the Miller is kind of the go-to press, and then, you know, is supplemented for, you know, whether prints are run on other presses or labels, supplemented with some of the others in the shop.
Thanks. Don wants to hear more about what happens after you catch a missing sentence or paragraph after printing a whole bunch of sheets.
Sarah, you could probably answer that question, having lived through some of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the worst case scenario is that you print an errata sheet, and you know, if you've caught it in time before your subscribers call you up and inform you that there's a you know, a missing line, then you can actually slip the errata in. Otherwise, you have to mail it after the fact. That, you know, we really prefer that not to happen. There are instances, depending on, you know, on the layout of the book, we can choose to go a line short or a line long on a given page. And, you know, if we get lucky, then that will, you know, allow us to pick up the slack. We had an instance printing a Lost Lady, actually, where we noticed that there were 2 lines that had gotten repeated, which is a kind of a like a notoriously difficult problem to pull out during proofreading. Sometimes when you get a double line, your eye just, you know, your brain and your eye don't connect it. And in that case, we got very lucky because we hadn't printed the backside of the sheet. So, oh, and it was the next to the last page in the chapter. So in that case, we were actually able to just like take out the extra lines. It didn't affect what was going to be happening, you know, on the backside. So we, you know, we happened to catch it in time. So basically, we just wish for good luck.
We've just got a couple minutes left. A couple of people are wondering if, aren't we going to get to see any presses? So I know you were very careful to set things up so that we wouldn't be making people car sick with motion, but it seems like if you're up for maybe carting the iPad over, maybe people would like to see a little bit more. So if you get over there, then I'll switch the view. So
Okay.
We'll stay here for now, so the people want to throw up.
Okay, let's see. We can show you here the Thompson laureate. And Jeff, if you spin the flywheel, you can show people the press in action a little bit. Is this a good view? Can you see this? Is this?
If you can stabilize a tiny bit, that's good, but that's better. It was a little bouncy.
So this is from the team's 14 by 22 inch platen press. I'll take you in as soon as Jeff opens it back up all the way. Poor guy. I can take you inside so that you can see, we actually do have a plate that's currently locked up in there. So the plate is sitting in vertically. It could hold a double set of rollers, but right now you can see only the 2 inking rollers are installed and activated. And you know, that little plate is the basically the tint block for the starfish wood block that Richard Wagner has cut, one of 6 engravings that he's made for the project. And 5 of the 6 are in multiple colors, and this is going to be a kind of a coral. Oh look, Jeff brought a rough proof of the starfish image that you can kind of see just the kind of the beautiful detail. The color's not really accurate there, but you can see the design. Next to that, in the press room, we have the little Victoria, which is just a kind of a small jobber press. You know, about, I don't know, say, call it 9 by 12. I forget exactly what it's rated at. Very easy to set up and take down and clean. Really excellent for short run jobs and also bookwork. You know, we have printed, you know, little 6 by 9 jobs on there before. Yeah.
We're pretty much out of time here.
Oh, there you go then.
The time it flies.
Well, thanks everybody for spending your lunchtime with us.
Yeah.
Thank you,
And,
Blake and Jeff.
yeah, and be sure to check out the Handbook Binders show. You know, it's a little early for us to know, but we're hopeful, depending on how the situation unfolds, that we'll be allowing visitors to come in person. So that'll be announced on the website.
Great. And gosh, there's so much we didn't get to, but there will be one more tour of Arion, the bindery. So that'll continue this process from the printed sheet through the binding. That's not on the calendar yet, but we're thinking September. So we hope to see many of you back for that. Next week, Thursday at 12:30, we'll be visiting design bookbinder Colleen Curry in her studio. So that registration link should be live now. So hope to see you in one of these events again soon. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Sarah.
Again, guys, lovely to see you all. Bye.